How many different ways have you used an avocado in the last month?
The last month?
Yeah,
Probably two.
just two?
You used it more than two?
Well, guacamole is an easy one.
Okay. Yes. In the last month, I've had guacamole,
Okay.
and
What's the other one?
I've also had it sliced on top of something. And I don't know if in the last month, but in the last 2 months, I have had avocado toast.
Okay. Yeah, I guess the way that you put that, I don't know what other ways you would use avocados. I was I was more referring to if you slice them, what would you have put them on?
Oh, I was.
Because I don't really know. I mean,
All right. Well, thanks for listening. This is the Unbroken Ground with Jim once again. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Summer's about to start. I'm about to start living. My life shrinks to about 100 acres up north of Peoria.
Yeah, yeah. That's not a bad life though.
Yeah, it's great.
Cool, cool.
In the morning, I get to drive my youngest daughter to Midway Airport, and she's flying out to New Mexico for the weekend.
Okay.
Well, a little bit longer than the weekend, but
What's in New Mexico?
I have a cousin who has a son who is graduating,
All right.
and she went last year. She went with my parents. Yeah, even though my cousin lives in New Mexico, we still, I mean, we've seen each other, and my kids have grown up with their kids,
Okay.
so they kind of,
Yeah.
I mean, they know each other like cousins. So, yeah, so she promised to come down to his graduation.
Okay.
So she's going down there.
Nice.
So that's what
Midway's-
I'm doing tomorrow morning.
Yeah, Midway's not a bad drive.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. What's fun is Southwest is the only airline here. Some trivia, just
Okay.
for those of you that have kids that are trying to fly solo. Southwest is the only airline that I know of that will not charge you for having an under 18
Okay.
travel by themselves.
Yeah.
So go Southwest
Yeah. If you have.
if you're under 18 and you're traveling
yourself.
by yourself.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Everybody else, it was $150 each way.
Just for because they were under 18.
Just, yeah, on top of whatever else they feel like charging you, because that's how airlines do it nowadays.
So are you dropping her off just at like the door and being like, "Hey, go through security. Good luck."
Yeah, she got her ticket on her phone, and
Nice.
she's got her real ID. So,
Okay.
I mean, unless security doesn't let her in,
Yeah.
there's nothing else I'm gonna do for her.
Okay. I didn't fly for the first time till I was 22 or 23.
Yeah, I flew in high school for a missions trip,
Mm.
but that was with a big church,
Yeah.
and a youth group of like, I think there was 40 of us.
We drove everywhere.
All going. My family drove everywhere.
Yeah. Callie went to Europe, so she
Oh,
flew like
okay.
when she was like 8,
Oh,
but
wow.
she flew with her parents. Like so the first time I only flew one time before I got married. So really, I only flew one time before I was 25.
Okay.
And what happened was we were doing ministry in Corpus Christi. We were doing some children's ministry through the Baptist State Ministry, BSM, the Baptist Student Ministries, and there at Angelo State. And I was the guy that was kind of leading it all, was doing a revival, and he needed a person to come play music and like lead worship for him for the revival. And so I stayed behind instead of riding back in the vans, and he flew me home. So
Oh,
that was
cool.
my first ever plane ride and flight. And then the next time I flew was for my honeymoon. Callie and I flew to Colorado.
Okay.
think we flew. I could be making that up. We might have drove. I think we did fly.
I do. I like to fly. I enjoy
Do not.
it. I enjoy the airports. I enjoy the hangouts. I really like spending money, so I can guarantee that I will go broke. And not just spending money. I should say I like sampling all the food in the airport. And so I know it's crazy expensive and stupid to buy, but they exist for people like me that are like, traveling's for spending money, so here we go.
I would 100% rather drive. I would drive over fly every time.
Yeah?
There are a few places you can't do that, though.
Yeah.
So, obviously, I couldn't choose that there, but if I had to choose, or if I had the option of driving and arriving there slower, I would drive rather than
regardless of the distance? Even South America? Like, if you had the time, if your job was like, yeah, sure, take it, whatever.
Yeah, go. Yeah, I'd still drive.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
See, I don't know. Now I'm thinking about it. If I had the opportunity and the time to drive all the way to South America, 100% I would drive.
I think more than drive, though, I definitely would drive, but I would, if I had unlimited funds, I would actually take a train.
Okay. Just jump on a train all the way down.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. The one time so Callie and I did take the train from Bloomington down to Belton, Texas, or Temple, Texas. 24 hours.
There's got to be a train that goes all the way.
I don't know.
We need a researcher on this.
Yeah.
You out there, the listeners, you got to start.
There's some train that goes all the way down through. I don't know. But we had 24 hours on the train. Now, I will say that our experience, we didn't have a sleeper car. We just got 2 random seats in the, car.
Okay. Yeah.
And we did have one weird dude that, apparently, upon his departure, he got off in the middle of the night, at 4 o'clock or something, and he left behind. He had gone down below, and you couldn't lock your luggage up. Your luggage was down there, and he had gone down and gotten into people's stuff and and took just random toiletries. He had a trash bag, and he had shaving cream and
okay.
shampoo and just.
Right.
But he I guess he fell asleep and forgot that he had thefted things, and so he left them behind. And so the train worker, conductor dude, came by and was like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he was just picked up this bag of just everybody's stolen toiletries. So, Callie and I did not have luggage on that trip because we were doing just us. We just had backpacks or whatever, so it was just with us. But that was a little strange. And then when we got to Texas, we were going from East Texas, so the state line, into Dallas, and these people were they were going in for a long weekend, and they were already on the party train before they got on the train, and so we've been on there for 20. Or 18 hours or something like that. And, we're like, oh, quiet. And then they're like, woo, we'll go on to Dallas. And
nice.
being very super loud and kind of rambunctious and being like, we can drink alcohol because we're not driving. We're taking the train.
It's time to be barely conscious.
Yeah.
All right.
So, but a big group of them all in our car, just and then the
That's
conductor, they were like, "Wah!" The conductor was like, "Oh, I guess that's what you call them. I don't know. What do you call the guys that walk around they're not really conductors, but the guys that walk around, the train attendants, train stewardess, stewards,
I don't know.
Stewards, porters. Are they
porters? Is it not a conductor? No,
Isn't the conductor the guy that drives the train, right?
Oh. I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
That sounds right too. Both of them sound right. So, you know what? My dumb brain
Yeah.
is trying to go to some cartoon that my kids watched about Dinosaur Train.
Yeah.
I think it was called Dinosaur
Dino
Train.
Train? Uh-huh.
And I'm pretty sure the guy on that the conductor
Was the guy driving the train?
No, was the guy that just kind of stood there and
Took the tickets?
took the tickets and told everybody where they were going, because that was part of the TV show that my kids watched.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Uh,
anyway,
all right, well, whatever.
and
I don't care that much.
I can't sleep when there are people talking or moving around, just in general. So I don't sleep on planes, like flights or anything. I mean, the longest I've ever been on one was from Hawaii to Chicago O'Hare, which is about 8 hours, and I did not sleep, and it was overnight.
Sure.
Because and the best part about it, as a traveler, and this was probably maybe the third or fourth time I was on a plane. This was the biggest plane I was ever on, because it had 3 seats on the side, and then they had like a 6 or 7 middle section, and then 3 seats. So it was big. For me, at most I had been on a plane that had 3 seats on with a middle aisle. Never had like a center.
Oh, okay.
So, but the fun thing was, Callie and I, on the way down to Hawaii, we showed up at Peoria. Peoria was like, your flight's canceled, and there's not another one going to get you to where you need to go in time. And so we went to the front desk, and they're like, hey, can you drive to Quad Cities? And we're like, sure. We're like, all right, you're going to do Quad Cities to Denver. You're going to do Denver to LAX. You're going to do LAX to Hawaii. And it was like a 6-hour layover in Denver. And we're like, okay. So we drove to the Quad Cities. We, fly to Denver, hang out in the Denver airport. We get on the plane, fly to LAX. It's like 8 o'clock at night. We get off of the plane at LAX. We go into the terminal, and then we load back up on the same plane. But at this time, there literally was like 10 people on the flight, because it was the last red eye out of of LAX to go to Hawaii. And so everybody's just like so happy. They're like, "Oh, I'm going to Hawaii. It's so amazing." And we got upgraded to business.
Oh, nice.
Economy. So we had leg room, and because so everybody's just so happy. But by the time our heads hit a pillow in a hotel in Hawaii, we had been traveling for 24 hours because of the time change and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But on the way home, I literally almost saw 2 older ladies get into a fist fight over pineapples, because you can buy in the airport, the gyms of the world can buy a full pineapple in a box.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't get excited about that, but
it's
the cooked food that I really enjoy.
A fresh pineapple from Hawaii is actually really, really good.
I'd imagine.
So
I've been to Central America. I've been to places that do citrus really, really well.
Well, you could buy a wine bottle and have it confiscated at customs.
Yeah, I did that once.
So anyway, these the only you have to put the pineapples in the overhead bin, because they're not carry-on size. And so these older ladies were like, "That's my bin. Don't put I'm putting my pineapple up there." And I almost saw I think a little grandma fist fight of yelling at each other because they were using their bins. So so that
they really cared about which pineapple was which.
I don't know. I think they were
the
just everybody was just so depressed that they were leaving Hawaii, their vacation was over, and they were getting on an 8-hour flight to go back to the middle of winter of Chicago.
Sure. Okay, I can see that.
So, yeah. Flying to Peoria was probably my 3rd flight when I came to camp to interview.
Is there cake in there? We got a
Trying
box,
to be quiet.
box of cake. A box of cake showed up.
Wait, you brought us cake? Oh, it's cake.
Oh, cupcakes.
It's bunt cake. Nothing bunt cakes.
Oh, cake care. I thought that said
Is that
cake.
not a cupcake?
No, it's a bunt cake.
That looks like a cupcake.
Okay, it's a cupcake. Would you like a cupcake? That's not a cupcake, but it's a bunt cake.
These are definitely cupcakes.
Okay. Red velvet, white chocolate with raspberry, lemon, or chocolate chip.
Did we get a new sponsor for the podcast that I know about? Nothing Bun Cakes.
This is the yeah. Didn't we have a sponsor last week too? The Mediterranean joint was our sponsor.
Yeah.
So now it's
I have to take dessert tomorrow to school,
Okay.
and so I went to Nothing Bunt Cake, and it was cheaper to get this than 4 smaller ones, and so I'm going to keep about 4 of them here, and I'm going to take the rest to school.
Well,
So
I mean, we wouldn't want you to have to do that.
oh. So you
may
want
have-
me to
yes,
take one?
you
of
may
these?
have one. Yes.
Oh,
What's-
okay. Well, I'm gonna take the red velvet one.
What are they again?
White chocolate raspberry,
Uh,
red velvet, lemon, or chocolate
Paul's
chip.
not getting
I
any
guess
of them.
chocolate chip then.
What? That's like your least favorite.
I've already had the lemon one. It was disappointing.
The lemon one was disappointing.
Yeah. Well, it was like a blueberry. What was that? It was like blueberry
This-
lemon.
Lemon
It
blueberry.
was a cupcake.
That's a cup bottom. It's not even a cupcake.
I know it's like upside down.
Yeah.
You really should take this, put it there.
Okay, now it's a cupcake.
Oh,
But
that's
it's a
really
bunt cake.
that's what makes it the bunt. It's upside down.
The bunt is the shape of it.
The
A-
pan.
The shape of the pan
Oh,
that they make it in.
okay.
Your wife probably has a bunt pan. I'm just going to tell you.
What?
I'm just saying.
It's such a fun phrase. My wife has a bunt pan. What?
Well, I told Brittany that I had bunt cakes in the car, and she heard that I have a butt cake in the car, and she was like, "What's a butt cake?" Bunt. She was like, "Oh, that makes more sense." I'm like, yes, bunt, not butt.
All right.
The chocolate chip was pretty good. I'll give you that.
I'm a big fan of red velvet, so that one works.
You know who we should really get sponsors is Crumble Cookie.
Yeah, because I'm sure this is really awesome to listen to right now. Just a whole bunch of silence and chewing.
Nom, 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 nom. Food good.
Also,
So
they're just listening, so they have no idea if we're actually eating.
I don't think Crumble Cookie is listening. If they were, hey Crumble Cookie, we'll be a spot. You can sponsor us. Send us your cookies.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know what crumble cookie is.
If you never had a Crumble Cookie,
I have no idea
Oh
what you're
my
talking about.
You never had a crumble. Oh, Jim.
I believe I just said
Dear.
I don't know what crumble cookie is.
Crumble Cookies are kind of like bun cakes but better.
Oh,
They're like this big.
okay.
And they're amazing. They have weekly specials. So like every week they change their flavors that they make. Except for one, they always have milk chocolate chip, which I think is the best.
It's not.
And then
She's
they,
wrong about
Snot's better than that one?
No. Well, yeah.
but then every week they change what flavors they have.
Okay.
And they're so good.
They're really good. Yeah.
Are they a soft cookie or a hard cookie?
Mostly soft.
Mostly soft.
But
Now,
they have some different varieties. Sometimes they cook them in a pan, so you have like a little mini pan that you eat out of.
Oh, like a skillet?
Yeah.
kind of,
thing.
or like one of them was almost looked like a pie
Is this a place? Where is this?
by Mission Barbecue.
Oh. Okay. Can you get ice cream with these cookies?
No.
What? They're out.
Just a cookie place. But TCBY is, I mean, not TCBY. Wow, that was aged myself right there. Baskin Robbins is down the
South.
street.
You southed yourself.
South yourself. I have no idea what you just said.
TCBY?
TCBY?
What does that stand for, Paul?
I think isn't the Y yogurt?
Yeah, but I don't know what the rest of it is.
Oh wait, Madison had one of those. Was that a frozen yogurt joint?
Yeah.
Yeah.
TCBY.
Yeah. It was right next to the Dollar Theater when there were Dollar Theaters.
I don't know what the TCB stands for.
Did you guys have those in the South? Dollar Theaters?
Oh,
Where you
Oh,
watched
yeah.
old movie, like they were older movies, like not super old, but like
yeah. Well, we had so my college town we had a $1.50, but on Tuesdays it was $1 a night, and you could go
yeah, it
watch
was something like that.
yeah. Oh yeah.
But you watched movies that weren't out.
They
in the good theater.
they had been released, but they weren't on video yet.
Yeah,
because they
you
had-
got
you
them right
couldn't-
after
you couldn't
they
get to-
went away.
They weren't in the big theaters, but you couldn't get them at the rental stores yet,
Yeah,
so you could go watch them at the dollar.
yeah, that's what we did.
And
Ours was in Market Square. I remember that.
I think Tuesday nights may have been a quarter. I think it may have been like
Oh yeah.
college night was like you could go get
Like
it
a
for a
quarter?
quarter or something.
Oh okay.
So
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, we had one of those, and
There you go.
Man,
So
that-
for all you youngins out there that get
Yeah.
to stream whenever you want,
Right.
whatever you want, we, growing up, when you didn't have money, and you couldn't go to a movie when it came out, you had to wait the 3 months, and then you got to go to it for $1.
yeah,
$1.50 if it was over the weekend.
right. Or you could wait a few more months and then just rent it from Blockbuster.
That's true.
Or Flicks. That was our movie theater place, or movie rental place.
Never heard of that.
Flicks.
Oh yeah. Like
It
your
was-
neighborhood one?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was. We could walk there. Like it was close enough that we could walk there. So that was
Yeah,
a
yeah.
big deal. When you got old enough to walk to Flicks, you were like big time. I think I was allowed to walk there when I was 11.
Oh,
So just random thing I remember.
okay. My cousins and I went to video stores all the time.
I mean,
That was the only one that I could walk to.
we lived outside of town, so
Paul
We
couldn't
would-
walk anywhere.
true. We were like
Paul
three.
still doesn't walk anywhere.
Amen.
That's what vehicles are
Amen. We were like 3.5 miles outside of town, so.
for. Oh yeah.
But we did have a small town. We had a movie rental place called the Movie Store,
Oh, there you go.
and they would do a deal on Thursdays
Yeah.
that you could get 5 for the price of 3, and you got to keep them an extra day because they weren't open on Sundays. So when you normally had to return them, so if you got them on Thursday, you normally would have to bring it back on Sunday.
Oh,
You could bring it back
yeah.
on Monday. So
So you,
you
could
would
rent
go-
5 movies
on Thursday,
on Thursday, and then you just movie out all weekend long.
right?
I do remember those kind of deals. That's what my cousins and I would do.
And apparently, I wasn't cool as a. Oh, I've never been cool, but I wasn't cool enough to get this reference. But apparently, the guy that owned the movie store, all my friends called him Spin Doctor because he looked like the guy from the Spin Doctor.
From the Spin Doctor. Huh. See, I have never been that kind of groupie to know what my band people look like.
Well, I mean, you know,
I get it that they're on the covers a lot of times or whatever, but
I think that they like some of the people had like MTV.
oh yeah.
That I did not have growing up.
I didn't have that either.
So they behind his back they called them Spin Doctors. I don't even know that I ever had a conversation with him. He was not like a very conversationalist type person.
Well,
So
to be fair, who really wants to have a conversation with a group of boys in a video store?
yeah. No,
I also remember walking through video stores and solely looking at covers. Just looking at covers and yeah, looking for like the scariest one or looking for whatever.
Yeah, he looked like that.
Okay.
For all you people, and look up Spin Doctors and look up the lead
that's
singer.
The guy. Okay.
Red hair, yeah, he kind of had like red hair and like a scraggly goatee, and he was, yeah. What songs did the Spin Doctors sing?
Oh, I couldn't name your songs.
Oh man,
Little Miss.
Little Miss Can't Be Wrong. Yep. I did just show that one to you.
Well, I mean, I was just taking a guess.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Two Princes is the
Yeah,
other one.
the
other
Prince.
one.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The
The Two Princes is the other one.
Prince one.
Yeah. So yeah. that
This
was-
can't be yogurt.
Oh, that's what back to the TCB.
Sorry. I was gonna look it up after I
This
took the trash out.
can't be yogurt.
This can't be yogurt.
But it
TCBY.
is yogurt.
But it was like too good to be yogurt, I guess.
But it is yogurt.
I didn't name it.
I wonder why they flopped. Maybe it wasn't yogurt. Maybe it wasn't yogurt the whole time.
What?
Maybe they pulled a full, like, gotcha.
Jim, did you want coffee?
No.
Then I'll
I've been drinking coffee for like all day.
So Crumble Cookie has a tres leches cake,
Okay.
a confetti cake, a semi-sweet chocolate chunk, a chocolate crumb Oreo cookie, a banana cream pie cookie, and a chocolate Reese's Pieces cookie, and a lemon cheesecake cookie. And so they're all kind of in cookie form, but they have all these kind of like flavors.
I gotcha.
So
Okay.
they're really good. They're like $5 a cookie. So like, and they're big. They're really big cookies, but
$5 cookie.
yeah. Maybe they're not that quite that much, but yeah. Golly, thinks they probably are. They probably are $5 a cookie.
Alright, Paul, your lunch is packed.
My lunch is packed, man.
Lunch is packed. You're
Does
ready
it-
to go.
Does it have a crumble cookie in it?
No, but it
Disappointing.
has chips and queso in it.
All right, I'll allow it.
You
How
get
many-
some queso in your lunch?
I guess.
We went to Pancheros for dinner.
How many ways have you used avocado this week?
Okay. See you later.
She didn't even answer. She just walked away.
How many times?
How many ways?
How many ways have you used an avocado this week?
Once?
And I said month, by the way.
Okay.
Paul said
All right.
Paul.
Sorry.
Because, really, I mean, if you have avocados, you're gonna make guacamole.
I never make guacamole.
That's strange.
I've never made guacamole. Like
That's-
in my whole life.
Okay.
I just slice
But
it.
you have avocados sitting right there.
I just slice them and eat them.
Just straight?
Yeah.
Just regular old avocado?
Yeah. Like an apple. Like I just slice it and you just have slices of avocado.
Huh. Okay.
Or
See,
you-
that's different than Paul.
Well,
Paul
I
puts
put
it on toast.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you can spread it and put it on toast, yeah. With everything but the bacon.
no. I did say slices. I said avocado slices.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
say sliced on the toast.
Yeah.
No. I said slices as one of my. I said guacamole sliced and on toast.
Oh, on toast, as in
Comma.
you mush it in there,
Yeah.
like
Yes.
like
like
butter.
you can have
Yes.
avocado toast.
You can have avocado toast.
I mean, I get it. What's the difference between putting a slice and mushing it on your toast?
Well, if you mush it, then you get multiple bites of avocado. Versus if you just have a slice, you take one bite and the slice is gone.
Consistency, I think, is actually the phrase that we're looking for here.
All right, I got you.
You got a mushy spread, or you
Whatever.
have.
I mean,
But we had avocado.
guacamole is kind of the only way that I use avocados. So
Well, Callie will cut them up into slices and
there's
then
no
put it
judgment
on
here.
top of
Just curious.
like chili or like some kind of soup,
okay,
like just so it's just like sitting on top of it and then you can eat
It's
it.
like a garnish.
okay.
That's edible.
That's edible.
Most garnishes are edible, aren't they?
I don't know. If you go to a fancy restaurant, sometimes they just put like random like sprigs on your plate.
Yeah, but they're edible.
Oh, I'm not gonna eat a leaf. Sorry.
Oh, I always do.
Well, I actually don't go to fancy restaurants, so that might be.
Also,
Yeah.
Well,
Says the
how
person
often do I go to
who
a
eats
fancy-
salads.
I know.
I'm not eating leaves though. Okay.
Oh,
I'm
that's
like,
true. I do eat
I'm
salads.
just cutting. I'm just telling you. No leaves. No
Okay.
leaves.
Why are you putting that on my steak? I don't want that. That's green. I just eat it. Doesn't matter to me. It's going in my mouth. If it's on my plate, it's going in my mouth.
It used to be as like a little leaf and something and like a slice of orange. Like that's
yeah,
what
that
guys
used to be fancy.
Yeah. Like what's that? Like why are we putting a slice of orange on there?
Yeah.
I don't
Because
know.
who doesn't like oranges? You don't like oranges?
I like cuties. I like the little
Oh,
oranges.
the little ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big oranges are too risky.
What do you mean? Risky?
Yeah.
For what?
They could be good. They could be terrible. And you just never know.
That's true.
They
I
don't
mean,
have.
I
There's
give you
not a.
that.
There's not a high quality. Like there's quantity and quality, and they're not always quality. I mean, they're a lot of times they're big, but they may not be like. Cuties kind of have a similar, like you know what you're gonna get. That's gonna have a taste profile that's generally sweet, and so I just stick with the cuties
Okay. I'll give you that.
because the big ones. Sometimes the big ones are delicious, and sometimes they're not,
Yeah, they're just tasteless sometimes. Yeah, I get it.
or even bitter sometimes. So.
Hmm.
Yeah. Did we explain all the things? I'm sure we were talking about some things and we just stopped talking
Yeah.
about them.
We've.
Chaos?
Yeah.
Okay, would you rather?
I don't. Oh, we're going to Would You Rather. All right.
Yeah. Would you rather be covered neck to toe? Do you get to choose first on this one? You get to choose first
Neck
on this
to
one.
toe.
Would you rather be covered neck to toe in tattoos or have one big face tattoo?
Neck to toe.
Neck to toe. Okay. Rationale?
Less first impression recovery needed.
Right, but what if you did the Mike Tyson?
What?
The Mike Tyson, like the big.
Yeah, big face tattoo.
Yeah.
You're still gonna be a guy with a face tattoo.
Hmm.
At least neck to toe, people are like, a sleeve's supposed to end at your wrist.
Mm.
Like there's just, but you're still not. Do you know that's permanent on your face?
Yeah.
So neck to toe.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's become less of a stigma to have tattoos, and even having a face tattoo is now not as bad. It's still bad. I'm not saying that like we've welcomed it into the realm of everybody should do it, but it's not at the level that it was where it was just like you are an idiot and you should not.
I mean, I'll give you that. That's what I'm saying. You can't. Either one of those you can recover from, because it's all just first impressions, and you get to see maybe right up front people's bias for or against tattoos.
Mm. Root them out.
But there again, if you have a face tattoo, you're gonna draw face tattoo people towards you.
They may be some of the finest people that you might never know.
They might
face tattoo people.
I'm sure they're very, very decent people.
Yeah.
But it's just not the crowd I roll in.
Okay.
So neck to toe. That one's
Okay.
an easy one for me.
Would you rather have to wash your hands every 5 minutes or never be able to wash your hair ever again? Wash your hands every 5 minutes.
Hands every 5 minutes.
Or never be able to wash your hair ever again.
How does that work?
How does what work? What do you mean? Tell me more. What are you talking about? It's a would you rather. It's how it works.
I mean, what happens after 5 minutes? Does an alarm go off? Is it just a compulsion?
Yeah.
Do I have to wake up every single night,
Ooh.
every 5 minutes?
Ooh.
Or is sleep out of it?
Right.
Because if it's literally every 5
Okay.
minutes, I'm never washing my hair again.
Okay. Yeah.
Because think of all of the things that take longer than 5 minutes
Mm-hmm.
that you will now have to pause and wash your hands in the middle of.
Okay. I see that. I feel like that is a valid point.
And if sleep is included, then
Yeah.
that's a rough one for sure.
I just think that I could be okay with not washing my hair.
Yeah. Oh, you just naturally, even if sleep was included, like you can
Yeah.
sleep
Yeah.
your 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's just during your waking hours,
Yeah.
and
I mean, I feel like washing your hands every 5 minutes is way too much of a bother. Like, even not even talking about sleep, but just like just here, like if we were trying to do a podcast and every 5 minutes it was like, I'll be right back. I'll be back.
right,
I mean, we would develop a system, I believe,
yeah,
where you would carry a hand washing apparatus with you.
yeah. So what
Everywhere
if
you
we
go.
limited it to any time?
I think you'd even sleep with that system. Like you would sleep and you'd have like your hands in an apparatus that every 5 minutes it would wash your hands.
I see. So you'd walk around with like one of those hand warming things.
Yeah.
That's just a washer.
Like, yeah, you would just have the washer like
And you just
strapped
have
to
it.
your stomach, and then every 5 minutes you'd be like, zoop, put your hands in, wash
okay.
them out.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what? I'm starting to warm up to that.
That's true.
I don't really care
you
about
could
washing
be-
my hair either, but
You could be inventive, I guess. You could walk around with a little fanny pack hand washing gizmo.
we might. I mean, that sounds like somebody get on that. Somebody create a hand washing station you wear around, and give me all the money you make from it.
Huh.
Cool.
Yeah, okay. Okay. What did you land on then? What are you doing? Are you doing
I
hand
mean,
washing or are you doing hair?
I think that with my handy pack, the personal hand washing system that
Sanny pack.
Sandy pack.
Sanitary pack.
It's the Sandy Hanny.
Sanny hanny pack. Sanny.
Sandy Hanny. Do you have your Sandy Hanny?
Ooh.
Yeah. Somebody.
Wow, we're even naming it for whoever steals this idea.
I'm patenting it. I mean, what I mean by that is go make me money and then you should give me that money. Patent. Stamped. Okay. So with that,
I'm sure that's how that works.
yeah, I think I'm going to change. I thought like I just
In
didn't
5
care.
years, if I see this, I will be.
Livid. I will be irate.
Nah, I won't even remember.
So angry. Because I couldn't be bothered. I think that like I would. I think if I really think that I could go without washing my hair ever again.
Mm-hmm.
So I could definitely be like, yeah, that's fine. I don't need to wash my hair. But now that I have a Sandy Hanny, or Hanny Sandy, we'll workshop that some more.
Yeah, somebody will make it work.
That I carry around with me. You know, I might go to the hands.
Hmm. Okay. I can see that.
Oh. Man, would you rather be a character in your favorite TV show or your favorite TV show not exist?
What the heck is my favorite TV show?
Man, this is a tough one for me because I'm just going to go, I don't have a favorite TV show right now really, but I mean, I think about like Lost.
Okay. If it never happened,
Yeah.
I don't think I'd miss Lost. Simpsons.
Would you be a Simpson? Would you be a cartoon character?
I am a cartoon character. Yeah. Yeah, I'd be a Simpsons character.
Okay. Okay. So here's the thing. If your favorite TV show never existed, you wouldn't know that. So maybe my favorite TV show doesn't exist,
True. It's yet to come.
or it already has been,
Or, yeah.
and it doesn't, and it never will be. Oh man, that's sad.
Hmm.
I miss my favorite TV show. I don't know what it was, but
Yeah.
this never
Yeah,
existed.
that's an extremely pessimistic view of the world. Congratulations. I'm missing things that don't exist. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know how to help you with that one. No, so the caveat with that one, I'm going to say,
Yeah.
is you knew it existed.
Oh.
You can't recall any of the episode. Like, you can't replay anything
It's just
in your
like
head.
it's just a feeling of loss,
You
like it's just like like it's a missing place in your heart, like you're like it hurts, but you don't really know why, but you know it does. Oh, that sounds terrible.
Well, that does sound terrible. So maybe you can recall some of the episodes in your head.
You're not quite sure. You vaguely recall.
Yeah. You can replay you can have like a moment of bliss of like, oh yeah, that was my favorite. Why doesn't anybody know about this?
Oh, would you rather have to wear all black every day for the rest of your life, or have to mix every color of the rainbow into your outfit every day?
Whoa. Every color, every day,
Yeah.
or all black.
It's not a stage. Sorry, I was going emo. All black emo, right? It's not a stage, Mom.
Okay, so I have both and.
Okay.
I can do both and.
Okay, both ends.
So you pick one and I'll tell you why the other.
Oh man. I always wanted to be emo, so I'm gonna go all black.
You can go all black.
Yeah,
I like color.
yeah, I do too. But I do have an emo playlist. I had it on at work, and I think it's just titled like sad, lonely music. And one of my coworkers was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Great. Why?"
Yeah, I'm fine. I hate you. What?
Life is terrible.
Paul, okay over there.
Yeah, no, this is great. I love this stuff.
I'm doing
Doing
just
great.
fine. Just
Do we
fine.
need to talk? No.
No, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I like color. I mean, I like color, so
Mm.
I think I wouldn't mind trying to incorporate every color of the rainbow in my
Yeah.
outfit. I don't.
So I think it's again. I just don't think I could be bothered, because it feels like that getting ready then becomes a production. Like.
I think that's why it's a both and for me.
Yeah.
Because just like visually and like just personality, like I like color.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as it starts getting to be like, oh, I gotta do that, oh, I gotta do that, oh, I gotta do that, then all black just sounds way easier. And I'm gonna go all black.
Yeah. 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 I think that for me, that's the other thing. Would you rather live in an escape room or a game of Clue? Or Cluedo for our British friends.
Cluedo?
Yeah.
They call it Cluedo?
Yeah, it's called Cluedo in Britain.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
Does the escape room change, or is it just one room?
Does the game of Clue change, or is it just like one can like hope you can stay alive, figure out who the murderer is?
Yeah. All these questions. All the questions to ask.
Oh.
Do Do I get to choose my player if I'm Clue?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it doesn't say, so I'm going to allow it.
Okay. Do I know who's in the envelope?
No, I think.
Okay. So we're all playing the Clue. So you're
Yeah.
like playing like you play the game.
Yeah, I think
You're
that's
in
the
game
idea.
like you're playing.
You're
the game.
in an escape room, so you don't know the solutions to the puzzle. Like, you're having to, I guess, to like if you want to have breakfast, you gotta like solve the lock on the cabinet and on the refrigerator so you can have breakfast. But technically, in the game of Clue, the person is already dead, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you're not the victim ever. You're just the murderer.
You could be the
the
murderer. But you wouldn't know.
Would you be nervous every time you picked up something? Like
Yeah.
a wrench? Or a candlestick?
Yeah, man.
Hey, Paul, time to move that candlestick. No, I got a rule. I'm not touching the candlestick.
I'm not putting my fingerprints on that. No way.
Well, if you're not gonna help, then just move that lead pipe. No, I'm not. No, I'm not a plumber. No, thank you.
No.
How about the wrench? I just said I'm not a plumber. That might be fun. To see how long I could not touch a weapon.
I mean, would it be like mandatory meetings in certain rooms? Like, let's all go to the ballroom. I don't want to go to this meeting.
Not you, Scarlett. You just keep wandering the halls. You're rolling ones.
Rolling ones. Oh. Yeah. I think, I mean, I really enjoy escape rooms. So I do think that, however, they would, if they were fully, like every aspect of my life I wanted to do something I had to solve, like a puzzle, I probably would not.
Well, it was just where you live, right? So it's just your home life, right?
But it doesn't really say. It's like, would you rather live in an escape room or a game of Clue? Which doesn't really equivate. It's not really equal. Cause the game of
because I
Clue is,
picture living in an escape room equals your apartment
yeah.
is an escape room.
Right. So if I get out.
So, yeah,
Never
so
go
every
home.
time you get out, you have like 60 minutes.
Hey guys, can I stay at your house again? I can't figure out how to get into my door.
I just can't get it. And that hour goes away, and then
I have to
his
wait.
voice says I fail, and then I gotta reset the whole thing.
I have to wait till tomorrow. Try again. I hope my cat doesn't die.
I can't open the cat food. That's the hardest clue. I have no idea what it goes with.
I used all my hints. I used all my hints so I could go to the bathroom. I don't have any more hints. So.
Yeah, but you learn it all.
What if it changed every day?
Oh, you get a new escape room
every day was a new escape room.
Okay.
I actually,
similar with the game of Clue.
Right.
So if you lived in the game of Clue,
it would be a new day, and you might be the killer the next day, but maybe not the next
it would be
day.
a new round or something.
I kind of actually like. I know this is not
like
going to
living in the
surprise
game
you.
of Clue.
Okay.
Mainly because I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and there was a movie.
Oh, that was the funny movie, Clue.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Clue.
That was a funny movie. Yep. I actually like the idea of waking up in a new escape room every day.
Okay.
Actually, really intrigues me. I definitely would do that.
Okay.
I've been rewatching.
Speaking of escape rooms,
Yeah?
my daughter told me that I should start an escape room in Lakin
Oh.
because the pizza people shut down.
Ooh.
She was,
Yeah.
and
Is she gonna run it? Is she be in charge of it?
I mean, just thinking through it, it would make a crazy, creepy, like...
Yeah.
Well, what brought it up is I said, that would make a really crazy like haunted house.
Yeah.
Because it's got the front door, and then you can walk out the back, and it's all a basement, and it's
Yeah.
so it's,
Those
and it's old.
that stairway down.
Yeah, that stairway with the holes in it is crazy, and so I was like, man, that would make a crazy haunted house. And so my daughter was
have
like,
so many rooms in there if you were doing an escape room. You could have like so many rooms that you could move and go to.
there would be. I mean, you could definitely do a couple escape rooms in there. But I neither have the time nor the
Resources
to do any of that right now.
I mean, I definitely think if I woke up and got to play an escape room every day, like the first thing I did every day was like doing an escape room. Yeah, I'm in on that. I've been watching,
Okay.
so I can't recommend this because it does have some language. So those people who are sensitive to foul language, sorry, but I've been rewatching Taskmaster.
Also, that applies to the Clue movie.
Yeah, that's true. It was in the 80s. It was a different time.
Yeah.
But I've been watching Taskmaster over.
Okay. Yeah.
And I really am sad that I've not ever been invited to be on a show of Taskmaster. It's mostly because I'm not a famous British comedian.
True.
That's mostly what I have going against me.
True.
And no connection to that.
Yeah.
But
I definitely live on the wrong side of the pond.
Yeah, that too. And but I love Taskmaster. I love it so much.
Taskmaster is pretty fun to watch. I will validate that. It is a regular thing that I watch.
I'm back. I started it a couple of weeks ago. Somebody asked me what I was doing, like, since I'm not doing school anymore, and I was like, well, I'm still working on some projects, but I also have been just binging on Taskmaster. So I'm on almost today. I'm on the second to last episode of the 7th season. So,
okay.
Which is one of my favorites because it has James Acaster in it, who is just insane. And James Acaster and Rob Gilbert, who is the guy that just brings the picture of the Taskmaster to the challenge every time. It's the same picture, and he just shows it over and over again, just in a different task. So if you've never seen the show, it's on YouTube. Like I said, if you're sensitive, but it is.
It is hilarious.
It is, and it is basically 5 comedians are given challenges to compete against each other and complete. And then they they go and do all the challenges, and then they come back and watch them together to see who they don't get to see the other person do the challenges, so they don't know how the other people did it, and they don't know how they did, and then they kind of make fun of them.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
It is. I think that would be a lot of fun to do. I think if I could figure out how to do an escape room with a Taskmaster theme, I think that'd be really cool. But I don't know
that would be really fun.
How to do that. But I don't know. Maybe we can start brainstorming it. Maybe we can turn the pizza pill. Maybe my next step is become an escape room owner, and it'll be in Lincoln, and we will turn it in and.
Because that was, my thought was it's not a bad thought.
Yeah.
Because Lakin has some nice, decent restaurants.
Yeah.
It's within an evening's drive of Peoria.
Yeah.
And an escape room is something that like people go to do. Like
right.
It's not like it has to be in your neighborhood kind of go do it.
Right.
It's a let's go do an escape room.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
If you still want to do an escape room in Lincoln, you can.
There is one. We have one at camp.
Yeah.
It is pretty good. It is pretty decent.
It's all right. The designers were okay.
Yeah.
We did okay at it.
It is only one room. There's some camp qualifications that kind of confine the whole...
It is only one room, and we did reuse most of the other puzzles we did cannibalize all the puzzles from the other room that we did. So
yeah, well,
but we did it on a budget, and it's still really fun.
But I don't think anybody. We we cannibalized all the materials, but they're totally different puzzles.
Oh yeah. They're not the same puzzles. Yeah, but they were purposefully cannibalized. because
Yeah, one of the puzzles is similar, but that's just because when
Yeah.
you boil things down, a lot of things are similar.
right, thematically though it's different and a lot of fun. So
Yeah, it is.
yeah, if you want to do an escape room, go head out to Great Oaks Camp. You can do an escape room designed by Paul and Jim.
Yeah,
And Travis, maybe. He kind of did some stuff.
and yeah. And say, wow, you guys really need to amp it up and go professional.
Yeah, let's do that. I was going to go to a data career, but instead, maybe I should just go do escape rooms.
Yeah,
Okay,
we'll figure.
Cool.
You can be data collecting
on escape
something.
rooms.
Escape rooms.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's got to be some way to do that.
Hmm.
I mean, designing escape rooms, you don't get too much nerdy than that, do you?
No, I think that it goes really well with all the other nerdy things I do.
I mean, as far as
I don't
I
think
wasn't speaking about you and Jeff. I was just thinking through
Yeah.
like, what do nerds do? Like, if you're
What if we had a bunch of puzzles in a room? Oh, that's so cool! So, yeah.
like, no, what am I? I'm not trying to dig myself out. I'm just trying to think. I like.
Yeah.
When somebody says a career, there's some careers that you're like, nerd! Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just a reaction.
Data science.
Data science.
Right. Yeah.
Escape room designer.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
similar realms. Similar realms.
Yeah. No, Callie and I haven't done an escape room in a while, so there's one in town here that they have a Friends theme that Callie was excited about, and I was like,
Oh, yeah?
okay.
I bet you could get Hannah to do that one.
Oh.
Hannah's fallen in love with Friends.
She is. Oh, okay.
Which I'm like, yuck.
I mean, it's
I
an
was-
it's an escape room, so like, it's fine because I'd be fine with figuring out the puzzles in the escape room.
Sure.
But I'm not overly excited about the theme of the escape room.
Right.
Whereas Callie's like, it's Friends, and I'm like, great. I don't care.
Yeah. I didn't care
So-
about the show when it was out
But
in the 90s.
yeah, me neither. Callie still watches reruns of it, so her and Hannah can hang out probably.
Yeah, there you go.
Talk about it.
Tell her to do an
Let's
escape
go
room.
do
with
an
Han-
escape room.
Han- Hannah was just complaining today that she's already bored. Like, it's the first day. You don't.
Did she find a job? She was looking for a job. Did she ever find anything like she could do?
Well, she's still working for Fro Smokes,
Okay.
kind of.
Kind
I
of.
mean, in the super behind the scenes, not in the restaurant
Mm.
firewood stacking realm. And
Okay.
then, she's still trying to figure it out. She really does, because she wants to be a pilot. It looks better if she has flight hours.
Mm-hmm.
And because they only accept like 80 some students or 60 some, I mean, however many students the
Right.
flight school
Right.
accepts, she's kind of focused on trying to figure out how to get more hours so that it at least looks like she wants to be a pilot on some piece of paper.
Okay.
So to answer your question, no, she never
Okay.
really found a job.
All right. Well, I mean,
She's a normal 17-year-old
That's-
kid.
I was gonna say
So it
it's
changes on an hourly. Just last night, she was like, Costco pays $25 an hour,
Not, yeah.
but you got to be 18. And I was
Mm.
like, oh, okay, well, that's not
I'm 18. I should
your
go.
option. No.
I should go apply at Costco.
I was just at the gas station, and the guy behind the counter was like, time and a half? That's $25 an hour. I'm doing that. Schedule me that day. And I thought, huh. Okay.
Yeah, man. Welcome to the hourly life. Yeah, I definitely had that thought before. Like overtime, yeah. Sign me up.
I don't even know what that doesn't. That's so outside how I
I know.
operate. On a
Your pampered
non-Christian
life.
nonprofit.
You definitely just said non-Christian. That's not what you meant.
Oh, no, I said I meant to say a
Non-Christian
Christian
non-profit.
non-Christian nonprofit. That's like they probably have money.
Non-Christian full profit.
Mm.
Yeah, Christian non-profit, religious. Yeah, yeah. There's definitely a money maker right there.
Well, it's just decision making isn't there. That's not.
Yeah.
It's just fun to get those reminders of
Right.
the different things people think about.
Yeah.
So, Callie's having surgery coming up.
Week from tomorrow.
What
Week from
is
Thursday. Yeah.
in all of these unexpected hospital visits? How has that changed your view of support? Because it hasn't been you going to the hospital.
Right.
I mean, you did for kidney reasons.
It's been a long time since I've been in the hospital. That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago.
Uh,
I still think of you every once in a while when I see a shriveled kidney.
I told my coworkers about that, and they were like, "What?" So yeah, I have a fused kidney. I don't have two kidneys. I can't donate a kidney because I don't have two. I guess they could cut a little portion off of my good one, and I don't think anyone wants part. I don't think anyone's part of my part.
I don't think that works.
Yeah.
That's not how that works. You either get one or none.
So I think so. I'm gonna expand your question a little bit because that's.
I mean,
Good try,
fair game,
but-
fair game.
No, I think one of the some of the things we realized, like I very much enjoyed the idea that, and still enjoy the idea, kind of, but have been disabused of it a bit, is that doctors know what they're doing, in a very demonstrable, above and beyond the pale kind of way. Like, Callie would tell you that I was always the doctor's biggest, like, well, the doctor said this, so you should do that. Like, the doctor thinks this, so you should do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I've certainly still kind of got that. I still think they know better. Some know better.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely have lost, like some doctors, they don't just deserve, like, the carte blanche of, yeah, we should trust you. And so that's actually kind of been like a, I don't know, just kind of a realization of, like, I want to trust people in white coats and that they know best. But I've just seen with Callie that some of them have missed the mark, either in bedside manner of just how they treat, like, the things they say, like they may be really smart doctors, but they're not good with people, you know. And so it's like you got to take that with a grain of salt. Like, care is more than just knowing how the body works. And I mean, we've even seen some, I don't want to say lying, but, like, even stretching of the truth from, like as far as how, I mean, for example, Callie had one type of treatment. Callie described that treatment, but then when you go into their chart, it's totally described totally differently. And Callie's like, no, I was there. That's not what happened, you know. And so it confuses. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm sure a doctor filling out like, they're just going like, oh, I did this thing, and it's close enough, so who cares, right? But it just reminds me how human people are. I also just know how today I was talking to a guy from work who used to work at Samaritan with me, and he's actually retired now, and he came in for lunch to see people, and we were talking about it, and I was talking about the Black Bear Diner, which is this great breakfast food diner that Callie and I had when we went to Texas. And I was like, how long ago was it that we went to Texas? Did we go this year? And I flat out couldn't remember because December feels like 3 years ago. And I was like, wait, no, that was this year. But I mean, like my brain was just like, no, that like it feels, and we're talking. So what? It's May. It's 5 months ago. Like it feels like it was 2 years ago.
Sure.
Like that has, to me, that whole care giving, like it's tiresome. Like just to put yourself in a place where you're caring for others. I'm sure moms are like, yeah, like, and wives, get over it. Like, what do you, yeah, it takes a lot of energy, you know, like, but I mean, like mentally, and part of it, I was going to school and doing class too. And so that also like mentally like aged the whole thing. But like it does, like, even, I think even for like Callie just going through it, like the idea is that if we do these things, she's going to get better. But the doctors are like, probably. And sometimes they're even like, no, I don't know. Like, like the next step is let's try it. But will you get better? I don't know. Like it's the, you know, that's the limit of what we know about the human body. Like it should work.
Sure.
It should.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a, and then I mean just talking with Callie's oncologist, like the regimen they have her on where she's taking a pill and getting a shot every month, is like 30% effective. To stopping cancer from coming back. Like 30%. Like,
yeah.
And that's the best they have.
Right.
And you're like, how's 30% the best you have? But that's all they have. Like they don't have anything better. They don't, and that's really just a study where they're like, hey, we did this with 100 ladies and you know, 30% of them did better than the other ladies, and so we're gonna keep doing it. There's you know, but so the 30% like so yeah, it's been kind of a, I think that it's always been like I've always been the pragmatic of just like, oh, you're sick, go to the doctor, get done, all right, get well, you're done, right? Like, and it just opens up to like the whole spectrum, like, and then it has a spiritual side to it, like care. It has two things for me. The first one is that I am constantly reminding myself that Paul had something going on. We don't know what it was, right? But he was like, hey, take this thorn from my flesh. And God was like, no, sir. Like, you don't even keep asking because my grace is sufficient. And was that, you know, we speculate that it was like poor eyesight or some kind of physical thing or something. But like, you know, when you think about Paul and how great his faith was and his connection to God, and yet when there was this, and he healed other people, you know, but when it came to himself, God was like, you're not getting, that's not getting healed, that's not getting fixed, whatever that thing was, like, because there is like this other side of things, and not to throw anybody under the bus or even say it's wrong to say this, but you know, at our church we've been talking about like going through John, the book of John, and we're like John 5, and you know the question. This is the story of the guy that's at the pools of Bethesda, and he's like, "Do you want to be healed?" And the guy's like, "Well, nobody's around to pull me into the pool when it stirs." And Jesus is like, "Do you want to be healed?" You know, and he heals him, and you know it's like the question is like, "Do you want to be healed?" And the answer is like, "Yes," but that doesn't automatically mean it's going to happen. But then on the flip side, it's kind of like with the doctors, like I believe that it can happen. Like theoretically, miraculous healing is possible. Like I believe it is possible. But then on the other side of it, I also know it doesn't happen all the time. or on demand most times.
Mhm.
You know, and so it's kind of like this, like how do you? Because there's a danger, I think, a little bit if you allow yourself to slip into it. Is like, did I just not have enough faith? Like, can I not be healed because I don't believe well enough? I'm not good enough at believing. I'm
Mhm.
not good enough as a person. You know, I'm
Mhm.
not. Jesus doesn't love me enough.
Right.
Like,
Right.
and
Right.
then you're like, compare yourself to Paul. Like,
Sure.
like as far as like experts in the law and like following Jesus and like doing God's will, like Paul was, and like you know, he was doing it all right. He was checking all the boxes, and God's still like, yeah, you don't get healed.
Mhm.
So how do you balance those two things? And I think that is like spiritually and physically, it's kind of one of those things that's coming together because like doctors are like, yeah, we can't fix you.
Hmm.
And then like spiritually, it's like God could fix you. I believe that. Like, you know, that's not even flippantly saying that. I do believe that God, if God wants to heal, He can. There's nothing stopping Him from that necessarily, but that He also doesn't. And that at the end, that is good. And I do like. I think like. Oh dang, his name just left me. Who's the theologian used to be in New York that passed away?
Timothy Keller.
Timothy Keller. He talks a lot about how like the Bible doesn't say that God takes bad things and turns them into good things. He says that He brings good out of the bad. And he's like, there's a difference, right? There's a difference. Like if you're taking the bad things
Sure.
and turning it into a good thing, it's like, oh, it's so good that I got cancer. Because here's this good thing that's coming. And it's like, actually, he's like, that's not actually what Paul's saying. Paul is saying, like, there's bad. Like, it's bad that, you know, this is a bad thing. It's not a good thing. But because God is good, He will bring good things out of the bad thing. But He doesn't somehow just morally change something or change a whole circumstance around and be like, oh, you thought that was bad, but this is actually good. But instead, he's able to bring the good things out. And I think sometimes we get that confused, and instead we think that we just have to be like, all things are good. Oh, it's good that I've got cancer. And it's like, and I think, you know, I was watching, it was a YouTube video or something where Keller was talking about it, and he's like, no, bad things are bad. He's like, it's okay, label bad things bad.
Right.
Don't call bad things good.
Yeah.
How you feel about it, how you approach it, what you do with it, that's a difference. But you don't have to pretend like it's good.
I think perhaps that might be maybe where the fight is in. If we back up even further, you started talking about Tim Keller, so
Yeah.
Like if we back up even further and talk religious traditions, maybe that's where the fight is of and what people. So okay, I'll even preface this with like, so I think a lot of times we all come with our personal bias on church and how we've grown up, and
Of course.
like whatever the
Yeah.
past experiences we've had, and the churches we've left, and the churches we like, and where we felt Jesus the most, and those are the moments that were like, that church had it.
Right.
And so we idealize that church, those places that we felt Jesus the most. And so then when a different tradition says we feel Jesus the most, that's different than yours, you're like, yeah, but it wasn't this church. And so I think you have a bias there. And I think,
Yeah.
I don't think people acknowledge the idea that those churches I would argue that all of our churches know their faults. The super charismatic pastor knows that his congregation struggles when things get hard.
Right.
Because emotions don't carry you through the hard things. You have to, and so he knows that while every Sunday he's going to encourage and rally and and charge up his congregation,
Right.
he knows that they need a solid footing of the gospel. Just as much as those silent churches like mine that will not talk back to you,
Right.
they also need solid footing on the gospel. But that pastor also knows that he has to push his congregation to be intentional about showing empathy
Yeah.
and compassion to one another.
Yeah.
Because it exists in our church, it's just not.
It's not as expressive.
Yeah, it's not as expressive.
Yeah.
Similar to the gospel and the gospel truth existing in a very expressive church.
Right.
And I think a lot of that is just perspectives. And so it makes me wonder, trying to connect this to what you were talking about. It makes me wonder if that idea of perspectives can only get us so far, where faith in Jesus takes over even my bias. And what I mean by that is like those, I'm sure some of the doctors that you've encountered that make you question the trust and make you question bedside manner, I'm sure some of that is pride or fear of like malpractice or I mean based in all of the fallen things in humanity, right? And so if we can overcome that stuff with faith in Christ and know that God is still working through even that fallenness, I think that's how, getting all the way back to what you were talking about with Tim Keller, is I think that's how Tim Keller can say, allow the bad things to be bad.
Right.
Even when he talks about forgiveness, he says things like, yeah, you can forgive abuse, but you don't have to keep taking, like, it's not, I mean, not only Tim Keller, but there are wrongs that have consequences.
Right.
And so allow the consequences. Forgiveness isn't about the consequences. Forgiveness is about a heart issue, right? So I think maybe that's where our faith in Christ starts coming in. I don't know. You were talking, and so that's, and then I started talking.
I think so. What I'm pulling out, and maybe I'm just pulling my own whatever I want out of it, because that's what that's what we do as humans, and so that's what you do at home too. So don't even judge me. No, I think that one of the things, it's been really interesting. The current Bible study series that they're doing at youth, and I'm just a guy that shows up and volunteers, and that's important. I'm not trying to downplay that, but they've been asking these what if questions, and this week the question is, what if God's asking you what if God wants you to help heal somebody, or what if God's calling you to bring healing to people? And I'm not just, we're not talking like, just Benny Hinn and beating people over the head and being like, be healed. Although maybe he is. But I mean, it's just like this idea, and it's made me grow a little bit myself, because it's not, that is like, I mean, whereas I think that as my growing up, like we would definitely pray a very impassioned or even a dry prayer. I don't know. We'd pray prayer, like yeah, we'd pray for healing. Like that's not outside, like, but it wouldn't be us, necessarily. Not that it ever is us that's healing, but anyway, we wouldn't, so. But what I think, wow, that was a long-winded explanation to get back to your stuff.
It's not a muscle that was practiced in your tradition.
Right. It's not a comfortable muscle, so it's it's not a comfortable motion. But what I think, like in pulling back that idea, is that the power of Christ. What it does is, it's that it allows us to say that this is not the way that it has to be or should be. So like that's a little bit of like hope. It's a little bit of like determination that it's not always going to be this way. And so like the power of Christ for me, when I think about that, I think about the idea of like the reason I can say, yeah, these things are bad, God can bring good things out, is that there is actually, I think, a better world that Christ says will exist one day, and I hope and I want to bring that as much into my world as I can, and it comes back to, like, for me, like, it comes back to the idea of what does it mean to have a childlike faith, and I think that for me it comes back to like this hope, like when everything around looks dark, and I don't know, we're getting old, you and me, buddy.
Yeah.
And
keep talking, buddy. Keep talking.
And I think it's easy to be like, man, I don't remember the world being this dark in a lot of ways, like being this rough and bad in a lot of ways. But I want to be careful because I also realize that as a child, I probably was oblivious to a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
And so, as an old person who's shaking my head at society, hand at society, but I do think there's this element of being like, yeah, but even when it's darkest, like our call, our hope, our life is that Jesus will make a difference, and it'll be different. It may be dark here, and it may be darker than it's been. I'm not saying it is, but I mean it feels dark, and so whenever it feels dark, I think it's like this childlike hope of being like, yeah, but Jesus can turn it around. Jesus can, and and even if he doesn't, like, even if we don't see it right now. Like, I think that's like the Psalms, right? Like, you see that all the time in the Psalms, where they're like, God, why is the enemy, why are the evil people, survive, getting prosper? Prosper. That's the word. And why are the righteous falling? And yet at the end of every Psalm, whether or not they've just complained for the past 34 verses, they're like, and God is the greatest.
Yeah.
And not even being facetious. Again, I think like they just understood that there was this weird hinge kind of thing that was like, you can look at the world and be like, this is not right, but God is still good and God is still at work. And so my hope, my foundation, coming back to your, like, talking about the gospel foundation, I think, is that Jesus is redeeming things. And so just having that hope is almost countercultural and counter intuitive to be like, no, it's going to be okay. God is going to make things all right.
Yeah.
And not that he's going to turn the bad things into good things necessarily, but he's going to bring the good out of the bad. And that's, I mean, Callie and I haven't really talked about that. Like, she's got kind of her own journey, and she's walked through that just because she's the one that's dealing with the pain all the time,
right,
and that's
right.
But I think that in some senses, like, we still kind of be like, yeah, but God can do good things, even in the hardness of life. God can do good things, and I think that like, it's such a hard thing to talk about. Because we want to just be like, no, God makes life good, which he does, but not in the sense of like God makes life easy.
Yeah, he makes it abundant.
In the midst of it being hard.
Which doesn't mean easy.
Right.
It means full.
Right.
Yeah. And I think...
Yeah.
I think that's one of the one of the ways that I believe that as we get older and we mature,
I'll speak for yourself.
I
But
mean, sure, is
maturity.
I mean, whatever, however you want to say it.
Yeah. As we grow, hopefully more like Christ.
I think one of the reasons that every generation says, man, all the young kids, they're doomed, or this world is so going to pot or whatever, is because I think one of the aspects of getting growing older is you see you can see more consequence to action
Yeah.
than you have ever been. Have you?
Right.
In
You've just
your
not been
youth.
aware of them.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, as a youth, you get a lot of get out of jail free cards.
Yeah.
You know, because you're a kid, and so just physically you bounce. I know a high schooler that got into a motorcycle accident that probably would have killed me, and yet here a month later he's sitting through church, and
Right.
I mean he's well on his way for recovery. He's doing great, and I mean it was scary, but there again it would have killed me.
Right.
But so just physically,
Yeah.
there's some get out of jail free cards, and then just as far as responsibility and maybe even God's protection of maybe that's how he designed it, you know, like you just slowly start becoming more aware that your world is small, and there's a lot more outside of it, and so it just continually expands. And so I think we're maybe getting to an age where we're realizing some of those global aspects of like, okay, if you as a society, if you as a whole group of people keep making those decisions, we
Right.
can see the consequence of those decisions, and it makes us nervous. On the flip side, I think it also allows us to hold on to that hope of abundance.
Yeah.
It allows us to see if we're operating in this mindset that the kingdom is here. It's and not fully,
Right.
because there's still sin,
But here.
but it's here. If the kingdom is here, and I'm part of it, and I can help usher that in, then I also have the resources of the Creator.
Yeah.
And so, despite me looking at action, consequence, and my wisdom in that thought process, I can also look at that youth in those situations, in that, or not even just youth, but whatever population I'm looking at. And it's work in my head because it's not my natural train of thought, but I can process that through, okay, God, this is their, this is how they're operating, so through you can speak and it is, how are you going to redeem that part of that?
Yeah.
I mean, with youth, it's like, okay, everybody's worried about them staring at screens all the time, but everybody was worried about TVs when they started coming out, or the radio, or books when they were started. Like, pick your media, and everybody freaked out about it.
Right.
I understand that there's a lot more detriment when we start talking about social media and the mind, in those mindsets. I don't want to get into that whole argument, because
Right.
I'm a camp guy, and that's why camps exist. And guess what? We're the solution. So come to camp. But also, I've witnessed a lot more in my 17 years. There's a lot of negative things that I can see in team building in
Yeah.
youth, in junior high kids,
Right.
but
Yeah.
they also can shift.
Yeah.
I mean, their 100% abandonment of an idea to a different idea is so much faster than 17 years ago.
Yeah.
They are so much quicker to be like, well, that didn't work at all. Let's try something totally different, and everything changes, and everybody's okay with it, and like, that's pretty impressive. I mean, that's something that's redemptive. And that's just an example, just to try and flesh out a little bit of what I was saying. But
Do you think? Because I'm dragging this idea through my brain here the last couple of weeks. So this is not a fully fleshed idea. So please deal with it as that and not as a staunch position. But I am wondering about the implications of who is your neighbor and social responsibility. And what I mean by that is that there's a lot of, like you talked a little bit about, struggling showing empathy, and there actually has been some pretty heavy attacks on empathy in Christianity as like kind of being toxic and wrong. And
what? Really?
Yeah, I'll send you some videos later.
I don't want to see those videos.
Like they're like we gotta get empathy out.
No, that's all the
of Christianity.
That's all the stuff I don't want to think
Yeah.
about. That's the
So.
ugh. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to derail that.
No. Well, but I think the reason that there's that pushback is because, like, Jesus talks about this idea that you ought to love your neighbor as yourself, and I think in the American culture, I feel like we've really been like, no, you just take care of yourself, and everybody else should take care of themselves, and we don't have to, like, that's kind of been the ideal kind of culture, and I'm not responsible for any other community, or at best, I'm responsible for my family.
Yeah.
And I don't have, and so like whatever happens in whatever community you might be in, whether that, for you being, Lakin or Peoria here, like I don't have any responsibility to the greater community because they're making their own choices. And yet I think like what Jesus does is he kind of turns that on its head, and he's like, no, you're responsible for everybody. Like, and I'm not like burdened for everything. Like he's not like, you are the sole responsibility, but he's like, no, you have to consider, we're talking about consequences. You have to consider the consequences of how you deal with your community. And you have a responsibility to it. What does that look like? I haven't worked that fully out yet. But I do think that like we are called to be so socially responsible.
Yeah.
And not like dismissive. I mean, and that's where I think like who's your neighbor? Like that question it seemed like so poignant that the law guy was like, oh well, Jesus, well, who's my neighbor? Like I don't want to get like you're like he's Jesus like who's, well, you tell me what's the greatest commandments? Is like, well, love God and love others, and he's like, okay, but who's my neighbor? And Jesus tells a story where the absolute worst person is the hero, and they have to say, and they never even say it. They don't even say the Samaritan is just like the one who helped him. There's like he's like, I can't even say it. I can't say the Samaritan was the hero. And to me, it's a little bit. I find a lot of reflection in that in like today's like political discourse of. It doesn't matter what side you're on. Like if you're on the conservative side, then you treat liberals like they're Samaritans, and if you're on the liberal side, then you treat conservatives like they're Samaritans, and it's like, oh, there's no redeeming them, And I saw someone put I've actually backed off of social media again. I was on after Easter. I went back onto social media, and now I'm like, yeah, I'm good. But I was on Threads and somebody was like, look, Christians, you either have to choose Jesus or Trump. And and then they're like, if you're saying anything other than Jesus, then you've lost it. But then I feel like it's like that's actually not like no one's really like you that's not the choice, right? Like
Right.
like that's not a good socially responsible way to treat either brothers or sisters in Christ, regardless of what side they're on.
Yeah.
It is simply baiting, like, because what it boils down to, and I think this is where I pull out like how the Jews felt about the Samaritans, is it boils down to is like you believe that there's nothing redeemable about that other side.
Hmm.
And I think that's just a major problem in itself, but that they are the only way somebody could be conservative, if you're liberal, is that person is dumb, or racist, or meaning to do ill, and vice versa. Like, if you're a conservative, the only way somebody can be liberal is because they are dumb, because they are without Christ, because they are without morals. And we're like, and that's the only way the world can, like, and we paint those pictures, and it's like, well, that's not actually helpful at all.
Yeah.
And I found myself at like, and I don't want to do this online because, man, would it be a storm, a messed up storm. But I just began to wonder this, because it's so much what the world's focused on right now. But one day, when America is done deporting all the people that are here illegally, when we're done, like, what problem did we solve? Like, I always want to ask that question, because I honestly don't know. Like, I honestly don't know the statistics of, maybe, like, and people are like, well, they're here illegal, so end of story. Right. They go home because you can't be here illegal. Okay. Sure. I mean, there's some justice. There's some there's some
okay, following the rules.
Following the rules. Okay. But then the other side of the things are like, well, yeah, but they're not like hurting anything, and a lot of times they're adding. They're actually layering and adding flavor to the places that they're at. They're being good citizens, even though they're not necessarily here legally. And it's like, but what problem will we solve? And I think, to me, that's the scariest question, because I don't think anybody really has the answer. But I don't think we can talk about it, because it's so segmented.
Sure.
That we can't be like, well, here's the merits, and maybe you have to decide where your merits end, and like you and I can have that conversation, but as a world we can't, because we've decided that if you don't exactly line up with me, you're an idiot, or you're godless, or...
Well, I'll file that all the way back. I'll circle that all the way back to, I'll use your apartment complex here as an example.
Yeah.
How cool would this apartment complex be if, on a monthly, weekly basis, you shut down the parking lot and you all just had a big old backyard
just
barbecue thing.
Let's have some hot dogs.
Yeah. And yet you don't see that necessarily anymore. And I would challenge you, not you specifically, Paul, but anybody, that how well do you know the people living next to you?
Yeah.
And I think that we have, blame technology, blame society, blame whatever you want to blame, but I think we increasingly become bubbled.
Yeah.
And we have, as a society, as much as I grew up in an age where I heard, stay away from your Christian bubble, or don't get enveloped in your Christian bubble, or you just live in your Christian bubble, as they were pointing the fingers at us or whatever, as believers, they were doing the same. everybody was doing the same thing.
Yeah,
Ideology.
I laugh because I grew up in a different that said, don't go outside the don't stay, don't
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
go outside the bubble.
Right.
Like how dare you go outside the bubble? Switchfoot got so much grief in the South because they wanted their music to play on a secular station. It's like sellouts.
Oh,
Those
sure.
guys can't be Christians, you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it was like, listen to your Christian music. And I can't tell you how many CD purges I had going through different stages of high school and college where people were like, you should really be convicted about the music you listen to. You should just listen to Christian music because anything else, is. I don't really believe that anymore. But I mean, it was just like there is for sure the opposite of that is like, you got to get outside your church. You got to get outside that bubble. You can't just stay in that,
Mhm.
But so much for it was like, no, don't and then there's always
Well, ironically, as a kid, you have nothing to do with it.
Right.
I lived in a Christian bubble because I went to the church, I went to the school that was in my church,
yeah,
and we spent evenings at church Bible studies. So, I mean, I wasn't always at the church. Sometimes I was at somebody's house, but I was protected in the church. I was in that bubble for sure.
yeah,
So as much as I heard, don't let this world just I was like, well, what am I gonna do?
right,
I'm a kid. What am I doing about this?
yeah,
So I hear you. I mean,
yeah,
even, yeah, I just remember that.
don't hang out with those sinners. I mean, there's very much like those are the bad crowd. Those are the bad kids.
Yeah, see, my youth, by the time I was in youth group, yeah, our youth group was a larger youth group, so it was definitely bring those sinners here.
Mm.
But there again, having grown up in that bubble, I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was never. It was a weird time for me because it was very much Baptists are the only ones who know what they're doing. Anybody that drinks, any of those kids that go to the pastor parties are just irredeemable. Those irredeemable sinners,
Mm-hmm.
And I it felt like. And I think what you're saying is true. As a kid, it's I didn't know to be different.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that because that's and I don't even think these are all implicit things, right? They're not no one ever was oh, that kid over there, they're the bad kids. But but you knew,
Yeah.
it was a culture. It was a culture thing, and
I was that bad kid. I was.
well, you still are. I mean, this whole podcast is just one
Just
big
proof.
evangelism.
Someday.
You have a few minutes for me to talk about our
If
Lord and
only.
Savior
Have
on
you
this
been,
podcast.
Have you been dunked?
Have you said the prayer? Have you
You
walked the
said the
aisle?
prayer.
Have you walked the aisle, said the prayer, and got baptized?
I've never walked an aisle.
Oh
That
man,
I've never done.
you gotta. That's the good Baptist way. We're gonna sing "Just as I Am" one more time. And if you've got a stirring in your heart, come on down to the front.
No, I remember. Anyway, yeah.
And I don't want to be facetious about it because the fact is that people get saved and they have experiences like that and it's real, and I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying that there are aspects of that are dangerous, and we should have worked that out better than we did. But I was a kid and I didn't know any better at the time.
Sure. Well, I would say some of those are emotional experiences that are really well guided and really well done,
Yeah.
but followed up maybe poorly.
Yeah. And some of them are manipulative. Some of them are very poorly manipulative experiences that were not done well and were just manipulation and also not followed up on.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I also agree with you. There are some that
Part of me
people did
wonders
well.
if we grew up in an age where, like, because of the development of, I mean, where psychology was, like, we grew up not too far from Hitler. I mean, as in, our grandparents experienced that.
Right. Yeah.
And so our parents were probably more affected by that.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm saying is the psychology of, like, humanity as a whole was developing.
Right.
And so that whole idea of, like, brainwashing and, like, manipulation and all of that stuff, that really wasn't, like, parsed out yet, or
True.
it was being parsed out. And
I mean, they were doing like live experiments on people, like dangerous, like
right.
terrible manipulation on people. And
maybe the Christian community just was like, let's go full bore in this. Let's try this. I mean, it works. It gets people to say yes to Jesus.
Well,
but then we fail to follow up and then explain and then
I think so.
Solidify the gospel.
I think we're remiss if I had to point out where
None
I
of
feel
that
like
was serious,
it
by the way. I mean, I was. Never mind.
That's Jim.
Those are
those
are absolute truths. So everything I say on this podcast.
Do you have any questions for Jim?
Absolute.
Jim
truth.
is saying those things.
Yeah.
I think that like if I was gonna critique anything, I think what I would critique is that in my tradition, so I don't want to speak about anybody else's, but in my growing up, my tradition, like we wanted people to know and follow God, but we also wanted to be more certain than just allowing the Spirit to do what the Spirit does. And so we almost became the Spirit. Like that's what legalism is, right? I mean, that's the root of legalism is like, let me tell you what you're doing wrong and how you should live your life and what's right and what's wrong. When Paul talks about it, he's like, yeah, you should walk by the Spirit. And if you walk by the Spirit, there's actually no law. Like, you don't have to because you're walking by the Spirit. You're going to fulfill the fruits of the Spirit, you know. And so, but we are like, okay, but what's easier? Me giving you a list of rules to follow or me telling you, well, yeah, you kind of listen and walk by the Spirit because we were weak, you know, speaking of like that muscle, we weren't flexing, so we were weak in that, but we were really good at saying, oh, this is what you would look like if you fall. If so, it was, and so I think that, and so like part of that, like that response was like the danger of manipulation. And there's and again, manipulation. I'm not even saying that people are trying to be evilly manipulative.
Yeah, manipulation goes can come from two ways. It can come from very intentional manipulation, or it can just be something that was unintended.
I mean, but even just like sincere, I want you to have an experience. So sincerely, I love and care about you, and so I could try to manipulate you. And that still may not be good, but I'm not just some evil manipulator. I truly care about you. And if I truly care about you and I really think that the most important thing for you to do is to find God, then I might stack the deck. You know, but part of that is because we had a very weak Holy Spirit. Because at the end of the day, it's actually the Holy Spirit that's going to speak to the heart and call and like convict and challenge, like, and so it's like, yes, but then what I think is the hard part is finding like, okay, well then what am I supposed to do? Like what does it look like for me if the Holy Spirit's doing all those things? How do I best facilitate that? And I think that's the part that I think we struggled with because we became, I think, along with psychology becoming a big thing, we also became the generation that measured everything. Everything was numbers, and everything was like, and so we needed to know how many people were getting saved, and baptisms, and how many, Bibles and butts in the seats, and all the B's that Baptists love, and and so we weakened because we were, I think, afraid of the Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit's not controllable. We can't make it show up and do the things we want it to do. We can invite it, like we can ask it, and I think it is working in more than we think it is, but because we can't control that, we fell back on the things that we could control, and so some of that then became a very effective manipulation. And I think it's because success was seen as having high numbers of converts, having high numbers of baptisms, having high number of people accepting Jesus, which is in a sense souls who are accepting. But when that became the only point, and like we talked about, not the follow up of like, well, following Jesus is more than just saying yes after a worship service, or saying yes after an emotional altar call.
Sure.
But there's no numbers that really celebrate that. Trust me, they're not. Like, there are numbers that do, but they're not in the language of my tradition, that I grew up in, that we got better at producing the numbers that we thought people wanted to see, to show that we were worth keeping around. And psychologically, just think about it, we still think through that. We've both listened to The Rise and Fall of Mars Hill,
Yeah.
And how they could excuse a lot of behaviors because they're like, yeah, but look at the lives that are being changed, right?
Sure.
Look at, and I think that there is always that thing, and it's like, that's that good thing coming out of this is still bad. There are good things that God's pulling out of this, but how do you do that? And that's one of those things, those hardest things. And I'm not faulting the Mars Hill people at all, because I think it would have been very tough to go against a wave of there's thousands of people coming to church in the city that is hostile to churches, and go, yeah, but what's the line, right? It's a hard question. But I think we walk through that, and I think the problem is, and this is what I struggle with. This is what I wrestle with, is the point is, when I'm working with kids, and what I want kids to see, is I want kids to see God, and I can't manufacture that. I can't force that, and so it is a little bit of the submission to say, all right, God, use me to show up in. And I think one of the lessons I've learned in the past 5 years that just keeps coming up again and again, because I don't learn very fast, especially with Jesus. But I think it's just the continued theme of it's easy when God's name increases and your name increases. It's harder when God's name increases, but through you, but your name also doesn't increase. And so I think we love what John the Baptist says when he's like, oh, I must decrease so he can increase. That's how we should be. But I think the reason that's so poignant in the Bible is because we're not good at that.
Yeah, that's hard.
We want to. It's easy. I want to increase. And so I think that, to me, that has been the struggle of, we want some tangible evidence that we are doing things and God's working alongside us. And for the longest time, that's been, church attendance or baptisms or confessions of faith, or people praying the sinner's prayer, and so much of that, we focus on it so much that we miss the fact that that's following Christ is about so much more.
Yeah.
That's just at best, that's a beginning. That's a first step.
Right.
And we drop the ball when we don't. do the rest of that. And I think that has been the cultural problem, because what message it sends is that it says, like, it doesn't matter what you do as long as you've said that prayer. And I think
Right.
like and I think that's where we live. Like, that's why I think we don't socially feel responsible for people, because it's like, well, it doesn't matter what I do. I said my prayer. They need to say their prayer, and if they don't say their prayer, then they're my enemy. And it's like, okay, but Jesus said love your enemies. And you're like, yeah, but was he serious about that? Like, you really love your enemies? Like,
well, I wonder if that's why. I wonder if that's why 20-something males are coming back to the church.
Yeah.
Because the end of social media and the ends and the fulfillment that we get from all of the things that we're trying to get, and this is yet another trying to find hope in the younger generation.
Yeah.
But I think 20-something men are coming back to church, is what I've been told. And I would argue it's because they see the ends of things a lot faster. Because they see the futileness of... Because they've had dads that just play video games all day. Or they themselves have overdosed on video games, and they know what that does to a week.
Right.
And the lack of fulfillment therein.
Yeah.
And so I think they're coming back to something bigger. And there's nothing like...
Wow.
I mean, obviously, religion of any kind is bigger but I also believe the Christian faith is in a unique stance of and true believers, like people that are genuinely trying to follow Christ. Whatever your faith tradition is, I don't care.
Right.
But following Christ, I think one of the aspects that the Holy Spirit puts in you is that idea of love. And it comes out through your personality, and it comes out as somebody that's caring, and people can see that. And so if I'm a 20-something looking for fulfillment, and my 40-year-old, I don't know, whatever, manager has conversations with me, and I go, he doesn't really care about this job he enjoys it, but
right.
It's not his fulfillment. There's something else there.
Yeah.
Like you said, as youth, we can tell who the bad kids are.
Right.
As adults, we can tell who's got fulfillment in their life. We can tell who's got the joy.
Yeah.
Of that person's doing life right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the Holy Spirit gives us. It gives us the ability to tap into that.
Yeah.
And I do think some of us hide it as we get older. I mean, maybe we get more, I don't know, maybe the weight of the world starts getting too heavy or something, that we start getting pessimistic. But I do think that whole loss of community and that whole being with each other is a major factor in all that.
Yeah.
So there you go. Go be with people. Stop listening to us. Go be with people.
Well, I think it's a for me it's an intriguing thing to think how socially responsible am I for my community? Because a big part of you're talking about is we're all so separate, and do we know the lives of the people that live around us here in this apartment complex? Not well enough, you know. Some we know a little bit more. I mean, there's a lady across the way that found out from somebody that Callie was having shoulder surgery, and she was like, I'm not cooking you a meal. I can't cook. But if you need someone to drive you somewhere, like, I can drive you somewhere, right? Like,
well, there you go.
And she's like, and Callie's had maybe 4 or 5 conversations with her. And I don't even know if she's a Christ follower or not. She was just like, hey, sounds like you're going to be in need of some things. And so I don't do this cooking thing. So I'll never show up. I'm just telling you I'll never show up for the cooking drain.
Let me just squash those dreams right now. You're not getting food from me.
Yeah.
But I'll drive you to the food.
Right. Yeah. Like, she's like, you need to go to an appointment? I'll be your taxi.
Yeah.
Like, and like, it's just, like, it is, I think it's that's like bringing me back. I think if we had more of that I'm here for you. I'm here to be here for you and do what I can. Like, I can't do all the things. I can't give you all the money that you
and I think
want.
that's the trap of maybe our maybe how we think a lot of times is we just think we'll have to solve all your problems.
Right.
And that's not really what it is. Empathy isn't solving all your problems. Empathy is, let me hear about them.
Yeah.
And then I would argue that the second step to true empathy is genuinely hearing them and finding ways that you can make their situation better.
Right.
And if that ends up just being a prayer right there, then that's simple number one.
Right.
And then it can, it can be a note later. It can be there's a million things we can do that are small and express, hey, we're thinking about you.
Well, and I think that to bring it back to like one of the things you learn, and this is something that I learned a long time ago, but I think it's super important to remember too. One of the things you learn about care at a hospital is that just presence is really all that people remember. Like, there's no words to say. Like, when I was 20, going back to my 22s, when I was like 22, 23, what was I? 21, my sister ended up in ICU for 21 days straight. And, there was a pastor, I think there was a well-meaning pastor, but he was like, oh yeah, God will turn this for, and I was like, and in day 3 of the 21 days of her being in ICU and not yet even knowing what's going to happen, I was like, that was not like I didn't need those words. Those words were ash in my mouth. But what was meaningful was the presence of people just showing up and just sitting, just holding a shift. And I think sometimes we forget how powerful that is, because we want to be like, oh, let me bring you my gifts and my talents. And I think, just think about Jesus in the garden, right? He's just like, hey, just stay up with me. Like, there's absolutely nothing you can do to change what's about to happen.
Right.
But could you at least stay awake with me?
Right.
And there was nothing more powerful than that. Like, is it true that God, is able to bring good things? We've already said that's true. So there's nothing against what the pastor said, but it was just like in a moment where that was not helpful, but presence was, And so I think, like, that that showing up for people is the powerful thing that we don't, sometimes we're just like, oh, all I do is I'm just like, and sometimes that's what I say about, like, I help out with the youth, and really I just show up. Like, I don't know, I'm not cool. Like I don't have anything that's like, I haven't tried to learn your lingo or play your video games or like, like,
doesn't matter, Paul, you're cool.
I'm not cool.
Doesn't matter, you're cool. That's part of what makes you cool. And I think there's also an aspect of we yearn for comfortability.
Yeah.
And so if somebody's uncomfortable, we're trying to crack a joke to make it
Right.
less of a moment.
Yeah.
We're trying to be silent. I mean, my natural state is to sit in silence with whoever is there. And
Right.
so that's where I'm comfortable, and I start getting uncomfortable when I start hearing that Holy Spirit tell me, hey, words of comfort are going to start coming out of your mouth. And I go, how about not? How about if we just live in this silence for a while? And so I think there's a balance there.
Right.
I would argue that because, yeah, anyway.
Yeah. No, I think that I think we're afraid because I think the truth is we're not enough in the sense of like there's not anything like you can't be enough like because God's the only one that's enough like God like the Holy Spirit is the only thing that's enough like Jesus is the only thing that's enough, and so we're like we're not those things, and it's like yeah, but you are a physical representation of those things, and sometimes your presence, sometimes the words of encouragement that you bring are enough, not because of who you are, but because of who God is.
Right. And he puts you in those situations, and he wants you there, and et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
I think, man, this podcast is getting long. I could probably bring up another idea. So I just had the thought of...
We passed 2 hours just 6 minutes ago. So.
Oh my gosh, this is so long.
You got to go home.
This is the problem with us doing it super early, is we just keep going. But so I had a thought of maybe the idea that...
Doing some more water.
Sure. Thanks. Well, now I lost that thought. Oh well. It was a good one. I liked it. I really did like it.
It was gonna be a.
It was gonna solve all of the world's problems. Oh, in talking to youth, this is where I was going.
Okay.
Maybe Callie can contend to this too. The idea that how important somebody is. Because I see in kids, they get so nervous about talking to another physical person. Like, they could be in the same room, they can have a relationship, they can be best friends, and still have, like, I cannot turn and face them. I'm going to text them. I'm just going to have that conversation here.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that just, to me, what I see in that is how important face-to-face conversations are. And we've given ourselves this comfortable box where we can deal with all of our communication. And we're, I don't want to say we're failing, but it's become very apparent that I can have safe conversations in my box, or I can have dangerous conversations face to face that are not going to go the way that I want them to. And I mean, look at where our society is. Our society is definitely in the, I need all of my conversations to be controlled and safe and give me the feedback that even I'm hinting at, that, you know, like, where if I have a conversation face to face with somebody, I can now read emotion, and I can now sense maybe the flow of the conversation. and I get a better aspect of what it means to be with somebody, and that's scary. And I think with the encouraging side, there again, going at that with the encouraging side of maybe an abundant, redemptive kingdom mindset, is the idea that they understand how important a person is. Translate that into maybe some Christianese of, we're all created in his image, and he hung on the cross for each and every one of us. And so whoever you're talking to deserves that full attention and that respect and that grace and mercy and whatever else needs to come out.
Right.
And
yeah,
I don't get that out of a box. I get that out of a face-to-face conversation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it also, yeah, I mean, it also is the idea that there's things that you just simply won't say. Like like if I'm sitting here with you, like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of something I wouldn't say to you, but,
yeah, that's not a long list. It's very short. You and I know each other too well.
But
there again, that's even important. You
Right.
know, like that's even an important step to growth and development and knowing what community is.
Right.
I can say things to this person and I can't say things to this person, even though they're both true.
Yeah.
But it's different because I have different relationships.
Right, because it's life building to one person to say those things.
I can tell my friend to shut up, but when I tell my dad to shut up, it doesn't go well for me.
It's not life building.
Like that's not
not life building for you.
It's a poor choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's because of those relationships.
Right.
Which is important. It's all important to know.
Right.
And you don't really necessarily get through our safe box communications.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
so there you go.
You have to. Well, you got.
And yet here we are making a podcast.
I know.
Encouraging your box communications.
Hey, go meet some people right now. Go out, make some friends.
Yeah, you've been listening for us. I cannot believe anybody listens to this. This has got to all just be bots that listen to it.
I mean, I know one person, my friend Jeremy, who you'll hang out with when they come out
to
the ropes course. I don't know if he'll get to the end of this. He will not get to the end of this episode because he listens to it on his way to work usually, and that's not a very long drive.
Oh, yeah.
So he will not get to the end of this episode.
This one will last him all month then.
And they do. They do.
Okay.
Yeah, go out and make some friends.
I'm so glad he gets to drive to our silent eating of cupcakes for a while. That'll be a full listen for him. What happened to this? We're just eating cupcakes.
They were bunt cakes.
Whatever. I flipped mine over. It was
Jeremy,
a cupcake.
it was a butt cake, not a cupcake.
It was not a butt cake.
Yours was a red butt cake.
And mine was a red butt. Red velvet butt. It was baby-esque. We gotta end this thing.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, it is time. Jim, thanks for joining me on another episode. Maybe we'll do one next month. Who knows?
Who's to know?
It's camp time.
Maybe Jesus will come back too.
Yeah, if not, we'll catch you in August.
Yeah.
It'll be good times.
Yeah, because who knows?
Who knows? If the people demand it, maybe we'll gather in June.
Yeah, rally, everybody. Let us know.
All right, thank you guys for listening, and hope you have a wonderful month, and hopefully we'll see you next month. Bye.